Hey everybody, welcome to Hockey Skate Down. Before we get into the video, I just want to say thank you to all my subscribers. If you want to join our hockey team, it's free. Click subscribe with the notification bell to all. Thank you all so much. Let's get started. I want to do a video on WinnipegJets. There's rumors of, Patrik Laine and Ehlers being on the trade block. Frank Seravalli released his list of names on his trade block list, and those are two names that are there. And this list is very impressive. These names on the list are big names that you're going to see moving around to different teams as a possibility. Nothing set in stone. These are just rumored names to be on the move, or teams are just taking calls on them. So basically that's what it kind of comes down to. And, Seravalli may not be looking to trade. Maybe he's just taking calls on them. So you know how that goes around with the media. They like to incorporate that as a rumor. So, let's get into this. On TSN's 1290, Winnipeg TSN's Frank Seravalli included Ehlers and Patrik Laine, and the team could move them to fill needs at center, a good number 2 center, and a top pairing defenseman, those are glaring needs that this team needs. We saw what happened when Seravalli went down. We saw the impact that Little's injury had throughout the year. They need depth down the middle, and they have a plethora of wingers they can move, and that's where this kind of comes into play. The defense was a huge question mark throughout the year, but I thought they held together relatively well. I thought Maurice did a tremendously good job. I love what Seravalli didn't do too much to add to this team during the trade deadline, but they could use an extra name or two that can help out on the defensive end. They could use a good backup goaltender as well. Brossoit's a UFA, and I think if you have two good goalies that can come in and help win games, I think that's crucial. Gives Hellebuck a little bit of break during the year, and especially you don't want to go into the playoffs and something happens, kind of like what's going on with Colorado. They had their starting goaltender injured, and now they're kind of shuffling around goalies. So you don't want to deal with that come playoff time, because it could be your year that year, and that happens, and it could totally screw you up. So, I really think that there's a little bit of fruition to this. I think that having depth down the middle is key. I think adding a good number 2 center would be great, and I think adding a good name on defense is good. So I really do think, I don't know if both of these names are being moved or rumored to be moved. I don't know if it's just one of them. I think they're taking calls, but the thing with Ehlers is he's more of a versatile winger. You have him locked up for a couple of years, but everybody's looking at Laine because they need a goal scorer. But the thing with Laine is his contract's up after this upcoming year, and he's going to be set to get a big pay raise, and a lot of teams can't do it with the flat cap. So that's where you enter the New Jersey Devils and the Montreal Canadiens. So we'll get into that first. I want to talk about how Ehlers and Laine did this year. Ehlers, I'll talk a little bit about him. He's 24 years old. He's 2 years older than Laine, more versatile. He's $6 million AAV until 2024, 2025. So you know what you're getting with him as far as what he's making. Laine's 22. He's set to enter his final year of a $6.75 million bridge deal contract. He's going to be looking for anywhere $8 million plus on his next deal. So he's going to get moved to a team that has a lot of cap space, that can afford him, and that's where I enter these two teams. Laine this year had 68 games played, 28 goals, 35 assists, 63 points. He's a consistent 30-plus goal scorer who's capable of scoring 40-plus goals on a good year. Ehlers played in 71 games, had 25 goals, 33 assists, 58 points. So with him, you get a consistent 20-plus goal scorer who has speed, skill, versatility, and a lot of teams may covet that. So that's where I want to enter the New Jersey Devils and the Montreal Canadiens, who could possibly be in talks with these two teams. They're both they could be possibly looking at them to help them address needs that they need, a bit more scoring, a little bit more help on the wings. So let's talk with the Devils first. The Devils have $72.7 million as far as what they have on their roster as of now. Cap friendly hasn't been updated, so it could be less. As the year gets finished, that's when they'll update it more. Talking about their draft picks, they have a lot of draft picks they can include in the deal. They have 3 first-round picks. Fitzgerald already said he's mentioned that he is open to trading one of them. They have a 3rd-round pick. They have 2 4th-round picks. They have a 5th, a 6th, a 7th. They have plenty of prospects that are, young players that are playing in Binghamton that can make the transition to the NHL. And they have a couple of players that may help out Winnipeg's needs. I'm not proposing any sort of name trades, but they do have players that can fit Winnipeg's system and that are fairly reasonably under contract for a couple of years. So the Devils could make a lot of sense with them as far as trading. You know, they could afford Laine on a new deal. Question is, would they want to do that with other contracts looming? You have the curious situation of what's going to happen with Palmieri and Gusev as they're entering their final years. You know, their age range isn't necessarily fitting all the young core, and Laine would be part of that young core with his age being 22, would fit in relatively well. Playing alongside Hughes and Hischier would be dynamic. You know, having those two players give him the puck to just shoot and score. He would help out the power play. He would just help out this team all around, as they do need a bona fide goal scorer. So I'm not going to lie, Devil fans, it's going to cost a lot. It's really going to cost a lot. It's going to cost at least one of our first-round picks. It's going to cost a good prospect or two, as Winnipeg can't take back a lot of salary. And they're going to need a center or defensive help now. So what do we have to offer him as far as that? So you got to think it's going to cost a lot, but you're getting a good goal scorer in return. But where I think Montreal is, they're a bit more up in regards to the Devils. They have a lot of good picks that they could throw towards Winnipeg's way. They have a lot of good young players in their pipeline, and they have a lot of their players that are filling their roster now that can just help their team out come next year. You have, Kotkaniemi came back and played well in the play-in rounds, added some size, looks really good. You have the emergence of Suzuki, looks really well. You just have a good young team. You have Carey Price still there. You have Shea Weber still there. You have Tatar still there. So you have a good mix of young and old, and you have a lot of good players in the pipeline, especially Caulfield and Romanov. You know, Caulfield didn't come back to play in the play-in rounds. Romanov didn't either, but he at least played, with the practices that led up to the games. So at least he's got his foot somewhat in, so they know what he has to offer coming into next year. You have the whole situation where they want a center. You have that whole situation with Max Domi coming up. I just have this feeling he's definitely going to get moved. I really do. He removed Montreal from all the social media accounts, as it's been noted. He fired Pat Brisson, who's his agent that's close with Bergevin, and he hired Darren Farris. And we saw kind of the same situation happen with Pacioretty before he was dealt. So I could definitely see Domi being dealt. He had a good first year coming in. He had a bit of an off year last year. But I just think the way it's going right now, it just sounds like he's going to be moved and be part of a trade. And, he's a versatile person. He can play center, he can play left wing. And I think he adds a lot to a team. So could he be involved in a trade? You have Paling, who's a good prospect. His name's being thrown around out there. You have picks, a lot of picks. You have a first, you have 3 second-round picks, you have 2 third-round picks, you have 3 fourth-round picks, you have 2 fifth-round picks, a 6th, and 2 7s. And you could also include Josh Brook, who's a good, promising young defenseman who's known as a scorer that can help out Winnipeg. And he's pretty close to reaching NHL as soon as next year or the year after. So you have a lot of pieces in Montreal that can be moved. And you have a lot that, even if you do move them, you could still draft well. You have a lot of draft picks. You have a lot of players left in your pipeline. You have a lot of good roster players. So I think this is a year that's primed for Montreal to do this, to add a bit more size, a bit more scoring on the wing. You have a lot of playmaking smaller forwards that could use an offensive help. And can you just picture your first power play unit where you have Weber and Laine suiting up to who's going to take a shot? And how much it would scare the opposition, which one is going to shoot, and they both have hard shots. That sounds pretty good. So I think Montreal makes more sense with this whole situation. I don't think those Gaudreau rumors are true. I mean, it could be true. They could be talking. But I think more of a fit would be Laine to Montreal. I really do. They do have the cap space that they could make some moves to, move some players out to afford him. You have Drouin's name coming up. I don't know if they're looking to move Deneau, but he's been, voicing his opinion how he didn't like how he was underutilized. And, you could have movement coming around to make room for Laine and his next contract. So Montreal, keep an eye out. Bergevin, I think, will make a big move this year. We saw what happened with the whole offer sheet with Aho. And, man, that would have looked good with him there. We saw a player he turned into after he signed his extension with Carolina. There's the whole Barzell rumors. He's an RFA. Can Bergevin look towards him? Montreal just is. I have a feeling they make a lot of moves this year. They have a lot of picks. They have a lot of things they could move, and I really think Bergevin's going to want to keep his job as GM. So I think he's really going to try to make an impressive move to keep himself there and work with the draft and fill the cupboards that way as well. So very interesting if Montreal does make that move, if the Devils make that move, and if the Winnipeg Jets look to move any of these two players or both of them. Comment below what you think about this video, and what you think about all these scenarios. I thank you all for your time. I really appreciate it. Smash that like button. And if you haven't done so, subscribe to the Hockey Skate Down. Join our hockey team. Have a great day. Have a great night. Take it easy.